Okay. Ready whenever you are.
So we should be live now. Let's see here. There's a little bit of a lag with YouTube.
Good graphic you got there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so we are live, but we'll wait for people to get in there. Okay, I have to mute mine. Now you do have a call out chat. If you had it on another thing, you can put the call out chat. I don't know if you know how to do that or not, but there's like 3 dots, and if you opened it up in your YouTube or whatever, if you had that, but because I had to mute because it'll echo.
Yeah, I'm realizing I needed to put headphones on for.
So, guys, we're still working on getting this straightened up here, and we'll wait for everybody to get on here. But I appreciate everybody that's here so far, 58 people and counting. So I appreciate everybody. A lot of regulars. I have a great viewership. Some of them are regular customers, and they're really great people. And I do videos for them all the time, and it's just really supportive. I couldn't ask for better.
Okay. So are we good? Are you hearing me okay?
We're here, and everything's good. Everybody seems to be hearing us. I don't hear. They'll let me know.
Okay.
Everything looks good.
I was getting an echo because I was trying to watch myself on YouTube while I was talking to you, and everything was going crazy. So, Daniel,
if you put your channel on mute.
I just closed it because I'm not sophisticated enough. But
okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we're good now.
Okay. So it's Feigenbaum. Is that how you say that?
Feigenbaum.
Feigenbaum. Okay, Feigenbaum. So we're here with John Feigenbaum, and trying to say that right. But anyways, you are the CEO of basically the Red Book, the Gray Sheet. You do Whitman Brands.
Correct. Okay. We call it Whitman Brands now. The merger of CDN Publishing and Whitman Publishing became Whitman Brands, for lack of a better approach. And so it's the all-encompassing company for all of those things now.
Yeah. So basically, the combination of the Red Book coming together, buying the Gray, or the Whitman with buying the Gray Sheet, or Whitman buying the Red Book, or Gray Sheet, because Whitman was Red Book. So we bought the Gray Sheet, basically.
No, it's the other way around. Actually, we bought the Gray Sheet. My group and I bought the Gray Sheet about 10 years ago, and when it was just a kind of a mailed newsletter and things like that, and we for 10 years we've been improving it. We converted it from the newsletter to full color magazine. We added a retail price guide called the CPG Market Review, and then we had the great opportunity to acquire Whitman Publishing almost a year and 3 months ago, because generational change. The Anderson family decided to sell, and they loved what we were doing at CDN, and we were honored, to be frank, that they would let us be the new custodians, let's say, of Whitman Publishing. And so we merged those two companies, and we are a little over a year into the whole process, and trying to every day integrate the two companies, two very good companies, with different cultures and different people, and trying to bring everything together. And it's just been fabulous, to be honest with you. It's been a lot of work, but it's been super, super fabulous. And the team over at Whitman is just an awesome group of people, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, I enjoy, or at least use, the publication constantly. It's one of our mainstays. We have the apps. So basically, all the viewers out there, you are looking at the main guy here. I mean, this is the guy over the Gray Sheet.
This is me.
This is it. So, I'm going to ask him some questions here too. But first, before we do this, I want to show you've got a tiers here. You've got different subscriptions as far as monthly. But we got I want to talk about the quarterly real fast too. The quarterly news, the quarterly Red Book, actually, which really kind of Gray Sheet too, isn't it? It's
So what happened in the last month or two, we rebranded what we called the CPG, the Collector's Price Guide, had been our retail. So there's a Gray Sheet, which is a wholesale magazine, and then from those numbers, we use a multiplier and create a retail price guide called the CPG, Rare Coin Market Review. That's about 4 or 5 years old. But what happened is it just doesn't really have a great name. And when we acquired Whitman, we thought, there's no better name than the Red Book, and there's no better association. So we in the last month or two, Billy Blattle, who's who really manages a lot of our magazines and the subscriptions over on the Gray Sheet side, she had this brilliant idea about changing it over to the Red Book Quarterly. And I think it's the first issue is just hot off the press, and I think it's just stunning, and we're really excited about it. So all that is the rebranding of an existing publication. But with the 2026 Red Book, which is coming out in April, with the 2026 Red Book, the pricing in the Red Book is being completely replaced by the same value set. So what we call CPG, Collector's Price Guide, this is kind of a data set, a value, name. The Red Book is being completely replaced, as you and I discussed before we got online here, how the Red Book pricing was a little high or sometimes a little low. It's just, how could they possibly keep up with all the values that we do on a professional basis, day in and day out over here at the Gray Sheet? So one of the best things about the merger with the two companies is that we can now share this pricing so that they're actually connected. And so you buy the Red Book once a year, but you need, how do you stay up with the fact that gold can change $100 in 2 days, as we know? So you can go online and then this is the subscriptions you're showing. We hope that people will come online and subscribe to, say, the package. If you subscribe to the collector package, then you get the CPG pricing online.
I got that online. Do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
And what you'll do is you'll get, with those packages, you can see the little check marks. This is on the subscription page on the graysheet.com website. And so what happens there is these different packages have different features. Collector Plus includes something called the bank notebook, which is world paper money. For $5 or $6 extra a month, you're basically 100,000 banknotes priced all over the world. So a tremendous amount of work that we're putting into numismatics and collectors, for the hobby, to make the hobby more accessible to everybody in a way that had just never been done before. So the packages you're also looking at are for dealers. So if you get a dealer package, Coin Dealer Digital, then you would have access to Gray Sheet, which is the industry standard wholesale pricing, and so on. And then our top level packages are Pro, include everything like what we call CDN Exchange, which is dealer to dealer.
Okay, yeah, and that's a no-brainer considering. Oh, you went.
I'm here.
Okay, your sound's there. Okay, I thought you went quiet. Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer. This is what had to happen, considering that the Red Book come out, and then but now you've got with the Whitman publishing, so it's just the leading and pricing. I mean, it's just all there is to it. There's not going to be much of a comparison.
Well, I couldn't be more grateful that you're saying that, and to the people who really, we do have a tremendous amount of industry support, and it's for those of us on this team, we live and breathe numismatics in every which way, whether we're talking to dealers or we're talking to collectors or working on pricing, auction companies, everything we can do to try to create an environment that this hobby can thrive on. You and I had also talked briefly about the stamp market and why it's not doing and how it's not doing well. I said we could do a whole podcast on the reasons, but one reason is that pricing was never really established well for stamps. If you are a buyer of $1,000 stamps, God knows what you get when you sell. It's just too difficult. But coins, we're so lucky because you can buy thousands of dollars in coins, and you really have a very small margin. If you're using the tools, if you're using Gray Sheet and CPG Red Book tools, you can protect yourself and you can make a lot of money if you put in the time to learn about it. And that's what we love about this hobby. It's so great, stackers and just all these different ways to make money in the coin business are really exciting. And we just aim to be a tool for collectors and dealers.
I think, let's see here, a couple of questions I was going to look at here. Then I'd like to say I appreciate everybody who's here. We have 104 online right now. That's really good. It's kind of
Awesome.
early. A lot of people are still
Thank
at
you,
work.
everybody.
But I have a lot of members here, and I definitely want to tell Doug Wagner, thank you. I thank everybody for being members here. When we do, it said the CDN Exchange is a marketplace on the Gray Sheet website. Yeah, there is a marketplace, CDN marketplace.
That's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah.
CDN Exchange is actually its own website. It's cdnexchange.com. And we really you don't see a lot of marketing for that because it's dealer to dealer. So, we have about 300 or 400 of the nation's leading dealers that go on to CDN Exchange, and it's a really great portal for seeing, auction data and wholesale, retail, and so on, and communicating with these other dealers. Hey, I have 400 proof sets that just walked in the store and I want to sell them. Or, what's been incredibly active in the last month are the 2024 gold flowing hair dollar privy marks with the privies. They're just going up every day right now. The ones that sold in the Stacks auction originally, they're up $10,000, $20,000 over the Stacks auction results even.
Oh, wow.
So if you're really active in the market, you need to be on something like CDN Exchange to keep pulse with that. And we use that data at the Gray Sheet also to try to keep up with that. If you're looking up the retail price of one of those privy mark coins, we're pretty accurate based on, because we keep tabs with it.
That's the thing. Now, is that just for dealers, the exchange?
Yeah. And it's about $150 a month. So it's not a ton of money, I don't think, for what we offer. It's crazy value, but if you're a collector or something like that, that's not good value for you. And we really don't expect collectors to join that. We want you to be a dealer. We want you to have a website and do business. But you can get the Gray Sheet, you can subscribe to a dealer package online if you're an advanced collector and are, okay to spend $50 a month. Again, if this was the art market or something like that, this is equivalents of $200 subscriptions and things like that.
Yeah, someone commented here that coins are complicated, just like doing taxes. I need a tax man to sell my pennies. Well, it depends on what you're doing. If you're just doing by date and mint mark, it's simple. But if you're trying to find all kinds of minor anomalies and see how much they're worth, then you're going to drive yourself nuts. You want to stick with the double dies, the ring punch mint marks, and the major errors that are worth something, maybe a clip planchet or something like that. But, anomalies, the little differences, die chips and cracks, all that stuff. I just wanted to add that because someone said that. It's really not that complicated, because if you've got a Gray Sheet or a red book, you can see the prices along with the date and the mint mark and the mintages. And then you can see the different grades, and most coins are not going to be worth that high grade. So
sure,
that's pretty simple. I've got some videos on that. I explain that.
That's right. People like you're doing a fantastic job. And of course, the red book is just this amazing resource. For less than $20, the red book, people don't believe me, or some people don't, but we sell 200,000 copies of the red book every year, or Whitman has. And like I said, we're the new custodian and we're improving it, but 200,000 copies, there's nothing like that in all of collectibles, I don't believe, buying, and the reason is the book is just so fantastic. It's just, if you want to quickly understand all the different types of quarters that the United States has made, or silver dollars, gold coins, the red book has it all with great color. And in the 2026 edition, I'm really excited about. I can't wait for all your viewers to see it. The 26th edition is almost completely revamped. Jeff, I challenge Jeff Garrett and the team that we have here to really rethink how it's presented, and it's a completely upgraded product that's fantastic. So it comes out in April.
The Jeff Garrett is a huge part of that.
Huge.
He's been involved in the red book. Heck, all I can remember practically, but it's been a long time. And he's a dealer basically while he's down in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
He handled that huge Kentucky hoard.
That's right. There's nobody with better stories than Jeff, or not many people, and he's just such a great guy. And so, people give him the shirt off their back because he's such a nice guy, but
he comes
he really,
for you guys that are from Ohio. He comes to the Cincinnati show. He'll sign some red books and all. He doesn't know. I'm not got a chance to really talk to him. He doesn't know me.
Well, I can promise.
We've talked in the CDN or the coin dealers helping coin dealers, but not really connected. That is what it is.
Well, I can promise you he would love to be on your show. I mean, I'll you won't have to ask him twice. He loves this kind of thing. This all new for some of us. We're not. This is my first YouTube live of any kind. So Jeff and I have recently started something called the Red Book Podcast. So hopefully people will look that up and subscribe to it. But he and I are kind of getting nerdy and talking about the Red Book and stories that we've had in assembling it, and it gets down there. It could be, I don't know if it's boring or not, but there's a lot of great information. What we're trying to do is tell the stories that we know so well, but maybe not everybody else does. So getting on your live channel is really important to me. I really appreciate you inviting me because I want to share the story.
This is your first on another channel. That's an honor. I actually have the link. I just put the link in the chat here to the Gray Sheet and Red Book podcast. So
thank you.
So far, there's 2.14 subscribers, 139 videos. This is important because getting the true values out. We are in a battle against AI videos that are creating false values on coins and articles. People clickbait. Also, these apps like CoinSnap, and I'm not bashing just anything, but just as an example, their ads show you your pocket change is worth $1,000 when it's not, or even $50.
It's awful.
When they're not accurate. If you want the real values, you have to go with the Gray Sheet and the Red Book. I mean, it's the bottom. It's all you need really. But there are PCGS app and the NGC app do have decent values. I have an app that needs updated. It has some values, but you're definitely not going to get too high of values on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always looking to develop one myself that does the scanning and all that. So, that's still a future thing that I have not given up that dream. So we'll see.
and neither have I. We talked about that dream, and that's a complicated one. And, we all have limited resources, which is why, the support of people subscribing to the Gray Sheet and our online subscriptions really helps us reinvest into these tools because they're not cheap. And you know what, this, Dan, as well as I do, a lot for every 3 software projects, at least 1, maybe 2 fail, right? They're just like, you take a chance and it didn't work. You take another chance and it works. You got to keep trying.
It's been 2 times for me. And, so I'm trying a 3rd time. So we'll see what happens.
Hopefully it'll work. And we'll be there to help with tools. People, if, we're getting calls all the time looking for API, which we're working on. We're not quite ready to distribute APIs because we're worried about, people taking too much information and bringing down our sites. We don't have good throttle protection like Google, where we can make sure that, you're not downloading the whole database and things like that. But we are constantly working on data tools, in this world. Well, I see a lot of questions coming in. I don't know if we want to answer any of them or we can do it later.
Yeah, I mean, feel free if you see one here. Like I said, I try to answer them. I'm trying to talk about most of the things people would ask. But it seems like some people are looking at the CDN exchange, also a magazine and book. It's not the CD exchange. It's not.
So one person says, which one is the dealer-to-dealer prices guide option? That's generally Gray Sheet, the Gray Sheet publication. And if you on the graysheet.com site, that's going to be the dealer packages and higher, not the collector packages. And then somebody else said, that's a good question. It says, do I see coins and NGC holders catching up to PCGS in valuation? That's a good question. The answer is it just depends. There's certain areas like for example, let's say moderns where NGC is very strong and kind of leads the market. So I don't know that they need to catch up. I think they sort of set the standard a lot, or I'm told there's more collectors sort of like Silver Eagles and 70 holders and things like that. In certain classic coins, that PCGS does better than NGC. Can that catch up? Of course it can catch up. I mean, if you're a shrewd buyer and you're really, you develop a good eye for quality, I think the best values you can get in the market is when you buy NGC coins that yet are the same quality as PCGS and CAC grading and things like that. And so, what happens is sometimes the baseline coins aren't really what coins are worth. They just sell, what sells in auction isn't always what coins are worth. So if you have a good eye and you buy really nice coins, I don't care what holder it's in, that's the key. But, don't get ahead of yourself. If you're not really knowledgeable, if you haven't worked with a numismatist or your local coin shop, somebody who really knows, be careful. And therefore, some of the most conservative things you can do are buying like PCGS, NGC coins with CAC stickers, because really what you have there, in my opinion, is triple protection or double protection, right? PCGS graded 65, CAC sticker says, John Albany said, I also think it's a 65. And that's why those coins perform better at auction consistently, is because they're basically double verified and things like that. So, I know that's a controversial topic. Some people will get really excited when you say CAC, this and that, but I can promise you that there's a lot of data that says coins with CAC stickers outperform coins without CAC stickers pretty regularly.
We got someone asking do you think the semi-numismatic bullion or high premium bullion has diluted coin collecting?
Okay, good. Another good question. I'm 55 years old. I've been doing this since about the age of 5, and that's true with my dad at coin shows and all that. And we used to, in the 1990s, I remember my dad and I thought anything made after about whatever after the Washington Carver series was modern, right? Anything after classic commems, we just, maybe a 1970D Kennedy half was a key date, 50D nickels, but we otherwise really didn't have much respect for anything minted, in the 50s and later. And now, so in other words, we didn't respect bullion. But I got to tell you, commemorative silver dollars in PCGS 70s or silver eagles in 70s. They've proven themselves, year over year to be strong. Silver eagles, a market you can't thumb your nose at. And I don't think there's any question that the collector market for modern coins, is significant and not going, and I don't think going away. But again, you do have to be careful. I would be careful with populations. In the best value can be buying 69s. A 69 coin could be $50 and a 70 coin could be $2,000. If you're really speculative, then you can buy the $2,000 coin. But I like buying maybe 10 69s and trying my hand at getting a 70 out of that or something to that effect.
I don't think it's so much a diluting the market. I think it's just kind of an initial premium is what happens, and then they tend to go down. Not all of them, but they're harder to sell. And then some of this premium bullion is a specialized market, especially if it's coming from Australia and other countries.
Okay, so that's interesting. I just came back from Berlin, the big World Money Fair in Berlin, and the Berlin Money Fair is full of basically, and I try to explain this to people, friends of mine who are not in the coin business. And I said, this whole Berlin show is basically all about, world mints trying to get more than bullion value for their coins, right? How do you do it? You make the coins designs pretty, you put, Harry Potter on them or Elvis or whatever, right? This is marketing. And some of the most successful companies, they don't market the coins within the hobby. They market the coins. Like, for example, Elvis coins are super popular with one of these companies, and they market them to people who love Elvis, right? And they or Premier League soccer licensing. So these licensing deals have helped. Do I think that's good value? Probably not, right? I definitely don't think it's good numismatic value, but it's good gift value, and it is silver. So if you pay $50 for $30 in silver, you're fine. I think you're fine. And that's a good, enjoy it. It's a great gift. Maybe even silver does appreciate. And when you're, an inheritance, but right. If you're really looking to be practical and very shrewd, be very careful of what I would call first release pricing on some of these coins. You don't want to be, you don't want to overpay for the privilege, right?
And the one thing about Nui,
right? I don't know. Is it Nui?
It's Nui. I think it's how it is. But anyway, puts out the Coke coins or in the different coins. That's kind of like part of that country's entire
GDP.
Yeah, right. Their GDP basically. Right. So and then they got to deal with the Perth Mint, and that helps that country. and there's more than one. I mean, obviously we see the Supermans and the Batmans and all that. So buying that, knowing that might some people who have that in their heart, maybe that helps them buy those. Thinking you might be helping some in a country's economy that you don't know about, but I mean, maybe go there for vacation.
I don't even know if you can go to Nui. I think it's like a rock island off of Australia somewhere.
I mean, it's very small.
I think you get attacked by lizards if you go there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I had to ask somebody once, but I also heard, I don't, you can't quote me on this, but I also heard that like the number one export of Australia is bullion, and the Perth Mint is the largest. I think the largest exporter. So
I can see that. Maybe even gold too. Just raw gold. Of course, that might go to the Perth Mint. I don't know, because I know they got gold mines. Opal's another thing that you see a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very important to the economies of these countries, South Africa or, Austria, with the Philharmonics. I mean, these are very important aspects to their economy and to their business. And it's real business. If you go to the Berlin show, and I wish I had some pictures to share this minute, but it's incredible, the displays that you see at that show. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, well, I don't want to bring it up. I don't know if he want everybody to see, but Garrett, he had pictures that I looked at.
Yeah.
On Facebook. We're friends on Facebook. Yeah, definitely. There is a question here. It's interesting a little bit, but it's too complicated to answer, I'm afraid. It said, what do you gentlemen think about opening a brick and mortar shop, mostly based on bullion and modern varieties? I mean, there's a lot of dealers that just do bullion. But, you're going to have capital, and you're going to have a customer base. So you've got to tackle certain things before you start a brick and mortar shop. You can find a brick and mortar or a hole in the wall somewhere and start renting and go from there. But there's a lot of things you need to know before you do something like that. And like I've got, my lifetime in this, but yet not full time until about 2009. So, it took me a while, because I live in a small town, and it's going to be dependent on your location. That's cliche, but it's true. Location helps. Having a YouTube channel like mine, that helped me in my small location.
Right. And I think the danger of, I never owned a shop. We were mail order business at David Lawrence Rare Coins. We built that business, my father and I. And what I would say is that, when you live, you live by the sword, die by the sword. I mean, if you're buying gold at $2,750, you're at risk every day. It's very expensive. Silver is, I think $31 today or something. And it's, you don't want to be sitting there when silver turns to $28 if that's, your whole life's savings. And so, dealing in classic coins is a real hedge. So I would much rather have barber quarters and, seated quarters and walkers. And I always enjoyed building collectors and helping collectors understand, sure, you love silver eagles, that got you into the hobby. But let me tell you about how rare walking Liberty half dollars are. They're just as beautiful, and they're so rare, and they're reasonable, and they're not as sensitive to price volatility, right? Because it's such a mature audience that are buying walkers. And if you go backwards into bust half dollars or barbers, there's almost no risk in that market. You know what I mean? If you're buying XF barber halves, believe me, they're only going up over time. Now, they may just kind of go very slowly, but you're not going to wake up tomorrow and barber halves and XF drop by $25 or $50. It's not possible. Yeah. You and I know that. It's just, you can't get enough of them ever. And so, the problem is, can you sell enough of them to make a living? So you say, no, I can't buy enough XF barber hats. So I'm going to also deal in Indian cents and Buffalo nickels. When I was, building the business, I would just buy everything that I thought was cool, that I understood well. I'd go to coin shows like the Fun Show and Baltimore's and things like that. And if I thought, I did business with friends and people who always treated me well when they sold me coins, and you learn who that network is, and I would stock those, and then the collectors would reward you because they come in and they love chatting with you in your shop and enjoying the hobby. And you say, here's the red book. Here's what a set of barber quarters looks like. There's a few stoppers, right? You're going to get to the 01S and the 13S, but in between, you buy all these other ones, and you'll really enjoy it, and you'll get to know the hobby, and you won't run out of money. Like, you could run out of money trying to buy modern bullion, right? I don't know how rich you are, but you can't be rich enough really if you just, you're buying things that are available all the time. So it's a good way to pace yourself, I think, to start collecting and dealing in, what we call collector coins, right? The ones that are one-offs.
Yes. And a lot of dealers they deal in jewelry, watches, diamonds. That's how they make it. Especially if they're not online. If you're online, you got a little more of a chance, I think, of just specializing. Like the penny lady. I mean, my goodness, everybody knows that's what she does,
Yeah, no
everything
question, right?
about it so that she can.
She's not the nickel lady.
Richard Snow. I mean, he's another one. There are specialized dealers, but you got to know your craft. You got to hone it, and you got to be willing to put the work in to make it work that way.
Right. And she's great, by the way. Charmy Harker, like she's just loves what she does. If you talk to her, I don't know if she has a YouTube channel, but she always writes a show report on PCGS's website, and it's fascinating. And you could just feel the love that she has for it.
Yeah. Oh, so confused on grading what I think might be an Indian head cent. Is it a proof? And they want and cent want the value, but I have no idea. Well, first off, proof is not a grade, so you're kind of you got to know the difference. The business strike has 1 through 70 grades, which is mint state. A proof would be PR or PF, if depending on PCGS or NGC, and that's 1 through 70, and they can be circulated. So it's not that it's a grade. Proof is a special strike, special dies were struck, and actually some will have different design features as well. It just depends on what the series you're looking at, but a lot of them will have square rims. They struck more than once. The planchets are actually prepared to be proof planchets as well on a lot of series. So you need to know that first. And I recommend buying a Mega Red book. Actually, that's the one that I recommend more than anything. That has the photo grade in it, a little more information, and it is the encyclopedia on U.S. coins and plus some.
Right. And we're working on that. We took a pause. It's in those come out in editions, not yearly.
Yes.
So although they were published yearly for a good while, so we took a pause last year as we took stock of everything, and we plan to come out with a Mega Red later, late this year, early next year for sure. But it's a mega amount of work, so we're on that. But
I just bought 6 of the latest editions. I'm planning on selling, and I've give away red books a lot because they're inexpensive, but it's a good tool. People walk in the shop all the time and they don't understand what's worth what, and they watch this video or they scan their coins on an app and they don't know. So we just give them one.
And it's interesting. I mean, it's a good point that you make there because I come from this like long-term background of being in coins, so people didn't really fall into coin collecting in the 90s or early 2000s before the internet. You were kind of there because somebody brought you along, somebody mentored you, whether it was your father or something or the club. And so now it's very enlightening and challenging to explain. Like the question about the proofs is an interesting one because we don't explain that very well on our website. We just assume you're going to know something like that, and so. It's so something that's completely obvious to us, to me, I need to do a better job of explaining. It's one reason why I'm happy to come on these and talk more and explain better, because it's not that well done. I think this is a challenge we face.
I've had people tell me that in the comments. They're like, well, see, you already know this. I don't know anything. I don't understand. And I'm like, well, I mean, I got other videos that do explain it. I have 1,700 plus videos, almost 1,800 videos.
Right.
And
so I have watch his videos.
I have almost a video for everything. I just did one I actually have one for grading terms. And I just did one for the decams and proofs and trying to show that, because people get the 75 business strike without a mint mark, which is Philadelphia mint, confused with the proof.
Right.
And that's another thing. Goodness. I did a video on that. But, I can only reach so many people. That video might hit 10,000. It might hit 50,000. But there's a million people out there looking for it, or maybe 500,000. And
these AI articles are saying things like the coin. I mean, I think I saw one the other day that said the coin in your pocket might be worth $1 billion. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
$1 billion?
The drummer boy quarter.
Come on. I mean, billion, the most expensive coin that's ever sold, I think, is about 20 million. Yeah. So, billion, come on. I mean, and it's just, there's just no shame in it any longer in terms of what will be said online and what will be picked up by Google and so on and so. It's very scary.
The word of the day is to be skeptical. There was another question here asking about, now I'll let you answer this because I've tried to answer it in my videos.
Okay.
The best grading service to submit to, PCGS or NGC?
Well, that's going to depend a lot on what coins you're talking about. If you're talking about, it depends every bit what kind of coins you're talking about. But there's PCGS, there's NGC, there's now CAC grading, CACG they call it, but there's ICG and NX. And those 5 companies are all in the conversation, and they all offer, different benefits. ICG and NX are great starting point companies. I think they're probably faster and cheaper, but if you sell those coins on eBay or something, you're not going to realize, if it's a valuable coin, you're not going to probably realize what you would get from a PCGS, NGC, or CAC graded coin. So it really all depends on what you're hoping for. So the answer to your question is, we need more information, but you go to their websites and learn more about them. And we support the entire community at the Gray Sheet and Red Book, and we don't want to be partisan to anyone. And we love our supporters. NGC is a big supporter, and CAC grading is a huge supporter of our publications. And so we always will say that up front. But what I'm telling you is that there's no wrong answer in any of those, depending on the story.
This is what I tell them, and you correct me if I'm wrong, please. That PCGS typically has a little better market share. We know CACG does. PCGS definitely when it comes to moderns. NGC not so much. Not because NGC is a worse grading company, but just seems like the registry quality sets, people are looking for those modern coins like pennies, cents, and nickels that are graded the higher grades. The other thing would be NGC. I tend to lean towards, when it comes to world coins, I think that they do a really good job. Not that PCGS doesn't, but it just seems like they do a pretty good job of that. And also tokens and things that sometimes PCGS will not accept, and some varieties NGC will, PCGS won't. The other thing is Annex. I like Annex for authentication. If you want a cheaper avenue, not that they're a cheap grading company, but just the fees are less. You don't have to be a member. As well as for VAMs for Morgans, and almost any mint error they'll grade, and it's almost affordable to do it, even if it's something that's not worth a whole lot. Whereas the other ones are a little more expensive. So if you want the most out of your money, you probably want to get it in a CACG holder or a PCGS holder with a CAC sticker. And even NGC at times, just depending on what you're submitting, with a CAC sticker. I mean, that's where I'm at with it. That's kind of complicated, but
Yeah, that's like right. I mean, that doesn't simplify it, but it's that complicated. So I guess if I had to say one more thing about it, I would say you should work with a dealer who does know these things, like Daniel, and get his advice, because this is not a simple matter. And if you're talking about a lot of value, you should always work with a trusted advisor. You should not be spending a lot of money in the rare coin business without a trusted advisor. And that's and you can find out who those people are, whether they have channels that are public or advertised, and the Gray Sheet or something like that. But be very careful, and don't buy coins because they're the cheapest thing you found online. You want to deal with a reputable firm first, because it's no good bargain if you buy a coin that's worth $100 in a grading service we haven't mentioned, that I've never even heard of, because they sprout up all the time all over the internet, and that it says MS65 on the holder and the coin is like a cleaned AU. So the values change so dramatically that Gray Sheet's $10,000 for such a thing, and the coin's worth $50 at most, or it's counterfeit. So caveat emptor is never more important than it is in the coin business. You will, if you think you're smarter than Daniel about buying coins, good luck to you. That is, get his advice, get someone's advice, and learn before you spend real money. Because
another person here, this is another thing in these comments. It's hard to answer a question about a coin's value without knowing the actual condition of the coin. If someone's asking about a 1909 VDB penny, if it's worn, if it's should be graded, a 1909 VDB is not worth very valuable. Now, if it's in a higher grade, 65 and up, it might be worth having graded. But then again, go over to Gray Sheet and get you a Gray Sheet, or buy you a Red Book. I have my website, or walk into my coin shop tomorrow, and I'll give you one if you're local. I mean,
yeah, Redbook's the perfect place to start.
You really need a price guide for those kind of questions. You need to see the coin. People ask me questions like that all the time. It's hard to answer them without seeing it. Any professional appraiser worth their salt wants to see the coin in hand. That's really the only way to do it. See, there was someone asking about, I don't know, APP requires coin dealer digital, correct? APP.
The app?
No. Oh, okay.
No, the app, you can have a collector subscription, and you will just see the CPG pricing. You will not see gray sheet pricing unless you upgrade. But yeah, the app works for collector.
Okay. Here's a good one. Do you think the 10% Chinese tariff will help reduce fake coins coming into the market? I'll just say this. This is more a economic question, because tariffs don't have to be on everything. It can be on certain goods, and we don't know for sure. We have to look it up to see what goods it's on. And there's always been tariffs on China. So another 10%, it's not going to slow down something coming in. It will cost more, but I don't believe it will stop it.
But I do have one observation that I was very interested about today. I read, and forgive me for not remembering the exact terminology, the legal terminology, but what I didn't know until the news of this tariff, the Chinese tariff that came through, was that for the last 10 years, it's been possible. Like, you could buy something on Temu or some of these apps, or even Amazon. You order something, I don't know, let's say a toilet paper roll dispenser, and it turns out it comes from China directly to you, right? I mean, how does that happen? That blows my mind. But it shows up at my front door, came directly from China in its own box. Turns out that there was a policy that under $1,000, the United States government wouldn't do customs on those packages. In reverse, that wasn't true. You cannot send to China always, it doesn't matter if it's $2, it's getting custom checked. So, and the same with Canada and Mexico. So what happened is this new legislation turned off that loophole, let's say. And what's important about that, not the tariff issue, but is that by turning off the ability for individual sellers in China to ship directly to the United States without tariff or anything, is, they did this because a lot of drugs like fentanyl coming through these packages as well. But I think a lot of counterfeit Silver Eagles, a lot of these counterfeit PCGS coins and NGC coins that we scratch our head. How do we fix this problem? We can't fix it. This will inadvertently shut that down. Now, I am still told that there's containers coming of counterfeit Silver Eagles coming through ports sometimes. That's not going to change, I don't think, not with this legislation. But those individual packages, not that Amazon sellers, or let's say Etsy or something, that should really help.
I just wonder though, if we're not used to doing that kind of custom work, that's a lot more work if they go through customs.
Well, yeah.
The articles slow things down, or they're going to have to hire more, or is there even enough manpower?
All of the above, unintended consequences of all those kinds of this rapid things that's happening in the Trump administration. But one of the benefits is going to be that they're just not going to ship. It won't be profitable any longer to ship a counterfeit Silver Eagle to you for $20 if it's coming from China, if it's not going to get through, right? If it's going to get stuck in port, they'll just, whatever those people are doing, will do something else, I think.
So. Okay, so let's I want to ask the question myself. Okay. And where do the values come from for the red book and the gray sheet? I think I kind of know, but I mean, I'm asking this question so that you can tell the viewers, because I think a lot of them might be a little confused on it. Maybe they kind of know, but there are a way of doing this. It's not just thrown out there. It's not a bunch of guesses.
Well, okay. So, and I'm trying to think of how to answer that without taking 2 hours, but but in its simplicity, the most important thing about the value of a coin, let's say the first most important thing is the intrinsic value. So many coins are worth their weight in gold or silver, right? So we can just say that 1904 $20 gold pieces in AU are worth gold, right? Or gold plus X. So that's number one, and that's a good amount of coins. Let's say 50% or of those, silver and gold, of maybe 75% of silver and gold coins that we price. So we have formulas in our system that automatically every 15 minutes to 30 minutes adjust based on spot pricing. So that's whether we say it's a 20% premium or a 10% premium, we multiply the amount of silver or gold into that. And so those prices change constantly. And, Patrick and I don't have to, work on that all day long and go crazy.
Online.
Right. It changes online. That's right. And what happens is when you publish a red book or a gray sheet, you just freeze a moment in time the day you go to your graphics department and say, here's the prices this second. And they're out of date the moment we send a file over. So that's why we want, we encourage people to use online resources for the most part. Now, better date coins, the next most important thing that you probably aren't expecting me to say is a coin's worth what it has been worth already, right? I mean, that's an interesting concept, but if a 1901 quarter in VG is worth $8,000, I don't know if that's true, but tomorrow it starts at 8,000, right? And then we adjust. So we don't start at zero the next month and go, where is it now? We say, okay, it's been 8,000 for 2 years, and now Heritage just sold one for 8,500, and when and so I get constant reports of auction data and things like that. So on good collector coins worth $500 or more, I'm constantly reviewing the data and seeing how that interplays with historic information that we know. And there's so many outliers. So this is not for the faint of heart. You can't do this if you haven't got a whole lifetime of knowledge where that 1877 pennies, another bellwether coin, 1909 SVDBs, they don't change a lot, right? You and I both know that the solid value base of those coins. And so if one sells at a heritage auction for double gray sheet, I don't think that the value of 1909 SVDBs is doubled because of that. I know that coin must have been exceptional, or there was some crazy bidding war, something happened. So I know that's just an outlier. I don't pay attention. But if I see, 1914 D pennies, another key date, and I see them inching up $100, boy, last 4 of them, they sell all the time, are up 100. That tells me that the market has improved on this coin or degraded the other way. So that's what I'll do was we'll watch pricing versus our existing pricing.
Trends.
And then trending, right? Trending values. And then the third thing we'll do is we use CDN exchange, because that's the way that dealers can communicate with me and say, listen, you seem to have a value for, 1914 D, Buffalo nickels and MS65, and I would pay $100 more for that all day long. Seth Chandler at Witter Coin, tells me, calls me and says, I need coins. We have all these demand for coins, and I'll pay more than the gray sheet. And I was like, fantastic. Go on CDN exchange, post your open market bids, which is, among the dealers on the exchange. That way, if people wonder why these have gone up, I can say, well, if you're on CDN exchange, you'll know why. So that's another way that we get informed about pricing. I get emails, we're getting emails all the time from dealers saying, proof sets are this or such and such or that. And so we're getting data from a lot of places all the time. And it's just an amazing amount of knowledge that you have to do it. But we have really good software to help. Otherwise it's overwhelming. And I don't think anybody has the software that we have. And I think so I have to say that, shout out to the IT department, because that's our secret sauce, is that when we change the software, it's effective quickly.
Yeah, it's a fluid market. That's what I tell everybody. A guide is a guide, and it can sell for more or less depending upon the eye appeal. Dark coins will sell for less than the bright white coins, and exceptional coins that look better than a grade, or like I said, a CAC sticker or a gold sticker. They're going to sell for more.
And I get that criticism where people will say, you have something at $500, but they're worth $650. For example, CAC seeded dollar, CAC stickered seeded dollars in XF. I mean, throw away the sheet, as they say. But because they're so unusual, he's so picky. John Alvin is so picky about putting a sticker on certain coins that if you had one, you can ask what you want, and you'll probably get it. If you're somewhere in the ballpark. But at least our gray sheet with our value guides will give you somewhere to start, right? I mean, if you want 10,000 for a coin and the Red Book Quarterly is 8,000, well, now you have a conversation. How come you want 10? The price guide says 8. You're like, well, listen, I paid 9. I mean, I deserve to make a profit. I work hard. I take some risk, and I would probably pay 9,500 for the next one. So I'm trying to make a few dollars, and and I still think you should buy it. But if you don't, I completely understand. These are the conversations I always had as a dealer. If you don't have a gray sheet, if you're in the stamp business and the Scott catalog says something's worth $40, and the last Siegel sale for the gem mint one was 4,000, how are you? What do you? You have no idea how to work that. It doesn't help you, and that's what going back to trashing the stamp market. That's the problem. People don't know what things are worth, and it's very scary.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video. It's one of the reasons why I want people to go over to and get a red book, get a gray sheet, whatever you got to do. Get some price guide. Use the price guide always. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing to talk about the gray sheet. Talk about dealers and what we pay. Dealers will pay less than gray sheet to people that come in the shop or come to the coin show. And now, if it's an exceptional coin, I have seen them pay gray sheet or over. I have before. If it's a 1909 SVDB, I'll pay more. Mm-hmm. If it's just common stuff, you bring in 20 1904 MS63 Morgan dollars, I'm paying probably 20% less than gray sheet.
It depends. It depends. And if you buy something that walks in the store and you want to sell it to another dealer, well, that deal you're going to be negotiating from gray sheet, so you need some room, as it were. But if you're selling, and there's all these kind of layers in the market. So if you go to a coin show and you have to sell to other dealers, you need to be really sharp, and you have to know where the values are. So there's everything involved, and there's just, and the gray sheet isn't always going to be right. And I'm the first to admit that. We are only a guide. And I always tell people, that's why if you subscribe to our data, you'll see auction data. We try to be really transparent because, we can't keep up with everything all the time. So,
and that's another thing. It's basically, though, too, is that when you bring in a bunch of coins or a huge collection, and dealers are very grateful for those collections, but mm-hmm. you're one stopping it for one price. I might sell that collection to 100 different people or more. And to do that takes resources on my part. And I'm become basically a broker for those coins and trying to get them out to collectors, to people who I know want them, or maybe even wholesale them some to dealers. Now, I do more retail than wholesale myself, but every once in a while, if I go to a coin show, I definitely do wholesale with dealers. And the reason is I'd love to have relationships with other dealers. Some of them watch my channel, they support me, and they show my channels and recommend me. So that's kind of a payback. I pay forward. Even though I could probably sell it for more on my website or show it my video and sell it or do an auction on my channel, I prefer to do that when I do go to shows. That's
right. That's right. It's we're a community, and the more you're involved in all these great people chat, in the live thing, know that. I mean, that we're a community, and we're it's like a big family. Some of the family members don't love each other as much as others, but you're right, Daniel. I mean, you got to do business with everyone you can do business with in our hobby. Some people specialize in bus quarters, and some people do mercury dimes, and some people only do guitar shaped coins from Nui. Whatever it is that it's important to know who specializes when you're doing the business. I saw a few questions. One I thought was really cool that we would have fun answering was somebody asked our dream coin. So what's your dream coin?
I'll be honest with you. My dream coin, it's going to be crazy here. I like to have a pine tree shilling.
Oh, I love those. Yeah.
I it's not that I can't get one, but it's one of the things where do I really need it? Because I like to collect corporate currency, national currency. And I have a colonial coin, and I actually have an 1855 pattern, flying eagle cent. So I have little things like that. So I try to stick with that. But I would a pine tree shilling, and I like to have a chain large cent at 1793. That's my two.
That's cool. And and I used to always answer that question when people would ask me who don't know coins. Is what's your favorite coin? I always say my favorite coin is my sold coin. Right. I mean, I never loved coins. My father was really a lover of coins, and I was kind of more of a guy who wanted to automate the business and learn the software pieces. But I really, he was a barber. He loved barber coins, and I'm very sentimental about my dad, and so I always loved 1894 S Barber dimes, right? That was the holy grail for my dad. And I actually, handled 3 different examples, and I've handled the finest known one, the one that just sold at Stacks, at Heritage, I'm sorry, last month. I handled that same coin 3 times. And so each time it was really, really special. And at one time, believe it or not, I had 2 1894 S dimes. There's 11 known of this great rarity. Heritage just sold one for $2 million, and I had 2 of them in the same safety deposit box in my bank, and I would sit there looking at them and going, I don't know if that's ever happened. Eric Newman or somebody had 5 1913 nickels at one time, and which couldn't happen again. But anyway, the 94 time is super special to me, and I'll never be able to afford one again. But because I was a dealer, I would basically just transact them, So that's my coin.
I have a lot of people, they ask me too, what coin collection do you have and all that. Most of my coin collection is actually images of coins that I've sold. I'll be honest with you. I have hard drives full of images and on several different computers. I have an external hard drive here. I think it's a 5 terabyte, something like that. And I just keep my videos and I put all this stuff over. So this computer keeps filling up on me. It's a 1 terabyte drive. So,
I need to introduce you to Google Drive.
I've got Google Drive too. I've got Apple. I've actually got Cloud. I've used that. I use I use all. You wouldn't believe. I've got like 10,000 tabs open and double screens and everything else.
Right.
I'm a tech guy too. I'm kind of a nerd too. I'll nerd out.
Yeah, but I love the part of the business now. Not being a dealer anymore. I don't handle coins really, and I just really love the data, and that's what you're saying, and I'm really starting to enjoy this interaction, like in video. That's what I enjoy, and I enjoy bringing knowledge to people. Which how could you do better than Whitman? We didn't mention that the other great thing about Whitman, other than the Red Book and then the books we publish, but it's the folders and albums. Who in the world hasn't? Everybody in this country over the age of 25 has seen a blue folder with coins in it somehow. Everybody's got them somewhere, whether they, Lincoln pennies and Mercury dimes, and there's only 5 coins in it that somebody never finished. But you must see it every day that somebody comes in, like, here's my grandfather's album of old Franklin halves or whatever. So
every day.
Yeah, every day. So in terms of cost effectiveness, hard copies of Gray Sheet and Red Book are expensive to produce. How fast do you see these publications evolving to digital only? Don't try to depress me with that question, but for sure, like Billy introduced the Coin Dealer digital package, I don't know, a year ago or something. And it's unfortunately one of our fastest growing, subscriptions is where you don't even get a Gray Sheet in the mail. And the post office has become so atrocious that we can't even, we almost have to make them 2 months early or something. I don't know what we're going to do with the post office being so slow, but to this moment, and Daniel, I think you'll agree, you get big groups of things, and the printed guide, the Red Book, you can't beat it. A PDF is not going to do it for you. And so we're lucky that we're a publishing business where all these price guides are really much more efficient in print at the moment. But time will tell. It is certainly finite. Could be 5 years, could be 10 years, could be 5 weeks. I think it's I think 5 or 10 years probably, but I don't really know. We're going to produce them as long as we can afford to. I have a 1909. I'm a new collector. I have a 1909 VDB. Oh, you already answered this with a mint mark.
Yes.
Should I have it graded? Right. Not right. If it doesn't have an S, probably not. Are there any other questions here we should talk about?
Let's see.
Want to make sure we answer everybody.
Yeah, I do too. I want to make sure, because a lot of the questions, though, I'm sure we've answered, because the price guide, most of the questions are going to be answered, because especially if you got and like I said, Mega Red Book, I recommend that one. If I had to start a course, and I say I had a coin club, and I invited people once a month to come over and take a course with me, or an online course, that Mega Red Book would be the textbook. Literally, I'm not kidding. It's that good. It has that much.
I'm happy to hear that. We better get right on making that one. But
we need to do online course. Professor Dan.
Right.
I'm definitely not a professor, but definitely, I think the ANA is another thing to join, because they do have the summer seminar and courses. But if you can't go to Colorado, there are some online they did have, I think, but it doesn't seem like they're out there as much. Like I'm not sure, you don't hear a whole lot. I'm a member, but I get some emails, but they're not really out there. They're not on social media as much as I think they could be. Right. But yeah, I mean, take somebody that's already doing this. I mean, 1,700 videos, they got a little bit of experience, but.
Right. Bruce Gerhardt, thank you for saying what you said. He tells me that the terminology I couldn't think of earlier is called tariff de minimis rule. So that is this no tariff under $800 for packages. And, you could send all the counterfeit Silver Eagle as long as you didn't say, I mean, whatever. So I think that's going to help a lot. Somebody else asked, what coin series do we see gaining in price? We saw Morgan dollars rise and now they've backed off. What's next? That's a good question. Morgan dollars rose, especially during COVID. And I think one reason I would call it's called program trading. This is the kind of thing where you get enough coins and the bigger marketers can promote those series. And, we've seen that in commemorative gold series, because they're expensive, but they're around and you can find enough of them. So we call them programs, and then people will kind of bid them up, build big inventories, and then they can do the fancy marketing and TV or whatever, or print ads. And so Morgan dollars were sort of part of that.
Yeah, I wanted to show my order here. That's everybody, all these books are going to be available.
Those are all from Whitman.
All from Whitman.
So anyway, I don't know what's the next hot market. We never know, but I can tell you that you can never go wrong buying key date coins and just solid collector coins. That is what I'm hearing from dealers. Like I mentioned Seth earlier from Witter, there's not enough collector coins in the market in the $25 to $200 range, period. They can't find beautiful circulated, seated quarters or buffalo nickels, Indian cents. There's those are good money, good to collect as you're learn how to grade, how many letters of liberty, and so on. I think that's your best bet.
And long term, I mean, why not? Don't get in and buy stuff and look at what dealers are selling it for or paying you for it. A couple years down the road, or even the next few months. Stay in it. Just enjoy it. Don't worry about that. That's a hobby, really. I mean, yes, it can be an investment in some senses of the word, but long term, because I've watched it. I mean, myself, I can go back to 2002. I think I got records back to 2004, some images and different things that I have in a file showing what I paid for coins and what I sold them for on eBay. And it's amazing. I mean, it's been a while, but it's still 20 years down the road. Look what things are worth now. And it's not just because of COVID. Those things have went up. I mean, I remember if I could get something like a BU Morgan dollar for under $20 a common day off of eBay, I knew I could resell it and make $5 or so on it. Now I can't get any of them for. There's no BUs for $20. That's less than melt. So
Fast Pony here mentions bust halves on the gray sheet are underpriced. You can't touch nice examples. 100% correct. If bust halves are really underrated, why? First of all, they were kind of available, especially up until the 1980s. You could find bust halves and VG fine for $30, $40. They were around because they kind of never got spent so much and they got hoarded. But now they're dispersed everywhere, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how we price them on the gray sheet; they're going to be worth more anyway. But you're right. I mean, I could keep plussing them on the gray sheet, and they would still be worth more money. And they're still great coins. And there's this whole Overton variety book about where you could really go in the weeds on that hobby and have a blast. But don't, what Daniel said was very, very important is don't do this to be quick and get rich quick scheme. If you want to get rich quick, get in the stock market, and I don't know how you do there, but don't do it in collector coins. Learn what you're doing. It's a very, very good hobby. You can become a dealer. Everything is at your disposal, but it's not a quick thing. You're going to learn some lessons along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've run the end of the time for me. We've been an hour. We had 170 at one time, 165 right now.
Is that good? Is that a good number?
It's really good. And all the comments, I appreciate everybody.
I'm trying to keep up with them. It's really fun.
I know it really is, guys. And I appreciate everyone's support, everyone for coming in. And I thank you, John, for it's a privilege, man. It really is.
Anytime. I'm happy to do this anytime. But we'll get you on we're going to get you and Jeff on with Jeff and I on the Red Book podcast, so that we can talk to you about Red Book stuff, and you can share. We'll take it. Pick on you a little bit.
Absolutely, I will love it. That'll be great. Well, we're going to sign out, and like I said, go over to the Gray Sheet. I'll put another link, and I'll over in my community on my channel here to go over to their podcast, and you can subscribe to that, and also go over to Whitman Supplies and the Gray Sheet. Check out the peers.
Whitman.com.
Whitman.com. All right. Well, thanks everybody, and have a great day.
Thanks so much.